hey, friend. You have a good trip in? Yeah, what's that? Oh, you're good, dude. Oh, I see. I was gonna say,
He touched that page here.
Good morning.
Good morning.
That might be able to cover the light. You can see the over
Good morning. Okay. Thank you all for being here. So we're going to start with meeting call to order, official call to order. And we'll start with the pledge of allegiance. If you want to read, let's go play. Thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Do a quick roll call here. Ken Jones, definitely up here. Gary Farmer, partial. Yeah, well, that's good, that's very normal. Make sure that goes in the minutes. That's part. Right way up, on time, and I hit.
Beautiful tap.
Dr. Miller, then they told me, yes, please, well, and Sarah Lott, good morning. And,
Yes.
Fine job, thank you for being here, so. So we have an agenda in front of us, I just want you to take a look at that, if there's any changes or additions or things you want to add, let me know, this is at the end of the business. But yeah, I do have great things that I would do, that run them off now. Oh, okay, very, very good. Oh, just the item itself, not the discussion. Yeah, I understand that, I want to make sure the wording is right. The first one is, our transition, to our new, board member. And the process we've had to go through, and we've done that, so we'll talk about that at the new board. The second is, that's a replacement from the other. Well, that's all. And then the North Carolina Collaboratory and uniform, and then the presentation to the council on debt and hearing repair. Council of debt and hearing repair. They're both all three of them. Anything else, George? Mr. Chairman, I'll move. Talk about musicians. Mr. Chairman, I move we accept the agenda as presented. To move, is there a second? Yeah. Second by Joe. Any further discussion? All in favor, aye? Aye. Thank you. Thank you. All right. So we have a full agenda with the additions on it. Full minutes of March meeting is also with us.
Mr. Sharon, I have a question. The minutes, number 3, on the agenda, it should be moved to where it's class to the topic of, I think Rob was supposed to do a presentation, so I'm a bit confused about that one. Yes.
I also thought that we had agreed to that.
Right. Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure if Rob was agreed to it, by the way. So, I haven't. I can't remember how. So, to make that correction with the minutes, and it has been approved that we move the meeting from May to the May 28th date. I know there's a couple of comments on that, but that's what it is. All right, thank you. Thank you. Any further comments on the minutes? Mr. Chairman, if there's no further questions or discussion, I move we accept the minutes as presented. been moved that we accept the new testament by Mary Thomas. Do I have a second? I'll second. Second by Dave Goldman. Any further comments at all? All in, call for vote. All in favor, say aye, or signal. Opposed, say sign. Motion carries. We'll move on to Bill, our Unity celebration.
So we celebrated our quarter 3 student success with some students receiving perfect attendance, our A and B honor rolls, and we are gearing up for our final award ceremony at the end of May, right before graduation, and that's when we will recognize some larger award recipients for Student of the Year, and we base that on academic performance as well as attendance, and we have a few of those that will be distributed at that time. We were excited. We started our second round of ASL classes, and we have 70 participants this month. So far we've had 2 classes, and so we're excited. We actually have some attendees from the Wilson PD as well as the Wilson Fire Department. We're very excited about the program. And then that's it for celebration.
Then I move on to student director's report.
Okay, I'm going to ask Susan to give a brief overview of our finances.
That information, Susan's back to.
Yes, she's our business director.
And what is Susan's last name?
Pittman, sorry. We're used to questions.
Good morning.
Good morning.
So my name is Susan Pittman. I know a couple of faces here. I am the new business manager here at the school. I served in this role about 23 years ago. So I have some familiarity with the school and its operations. The school was under DHHS then, so of course a lot has changed to DPI. Now we're fixing to make another big move. So, but I am glad to be here and be back. I don't know what kind of information you have received in the past regarding school finances, so today is a starting place for us. I may give you too much, too little, but we'll just work together and learn and grow together, and I'll be able to try to be able to, provide information in the format that's most useful and beneficial to you. So I believe in your packet today, you may have gotten a one-sheet summary of our authorized budget data. So the majority of our funds are state appropriations. So for today, just what you can glean from this high-level summary that I provided is that, we are operating on an annual budget of about $10.2 million. Okay. This budget information provided is for 3/4 of the year, so this is a 9-month picture of where we're at. So our actual to-date column is where you'll see we've spent $6.2 million. Realistically, if you look over at the far right column, the rate column, that tells you that we're on track to spend about 97 or 98% of our appropriated budget. Okay, so that's a good place to be, especially since I'm just coming in. That's a good place for us to be at this time of the year. Our goal is to spend 100% of our funds. Ms. Iannucci does have some special projects, repair type projects, refurbishment type projects that we are have underway, or we're looking into starting things that we can finish in the next couple of months to ensure that we spend our total funding availability. So for today, that's kind of what I had planned, was to give you a high-level overview. Of course, if you have more specific questions, please ask, and I'll try to answer those questions either today or be prepared to provide additional information at the next meeting or prior to the next meeting.
Yes. I really like this budget sheet and be able to become where we are in fiscal year. It's really important, so thank you.
You're welcome.
I concur that. Good.
Well, I'm a visual person, so I like to be able to see where we are, and thought it would be beneficial to you as well.
Would you mind sharing the board information regarding the reimbursement as well?
So the next topic I wanted to go over with you today relates to per diem and mileage for board members. To repeat myself, I've been here about 6 weeks. Okay, so I don't know what you know or what you have been informed or may not have been informed. But one of the first things I reviewed very carefully was House Bill 11 that became the session law in 2023. And one aspect of that session law related to the residential schools being set up as independent agencies, speaks directly to board members. Okay? So that session law states that board members are eligible for a per diem, per diem stipend, if you will, of $50 per day when you're performing in your official capacity, such as at meetings like this, as well as mileage from your home to the school and back. So it doesn't appear that you have been that you've been claiming or receiving those payments that you are eligible for. So today I wanted to share that information. I want to tell you that we're here to help you get set up, established as a vendor in the North Carolina accounting system, which really just requires your Social Security number for payment purposes. Okay? Gary.
I'm going to let you finish first, but I want to ask a question when you have several questions I'd like to ask. Go ahead and finish.
Okay. No, it's fine. So, again, I wanted to share that information. You're not required, but you are eligible to receive that stipend and mileage, and I feel like it's our responsibility to make you aware of that and show you and help you, through that process. So I have, we can talk one-on-one, we can work through email, whatever works better for you, but I want to make you aware there is one form called a Substitute W-9 you would fill out to get you set up, and then I have the reimbursement form that I could have prepared, ready at each meeting, and you could just sign, and we can move that along without any difficulty. So I'm going to stop there. Gary, please don't ask me a tax question.
No, I'm not that smart. But anyway, I was just going to ask how do we navigate that, and you just partially answered that before I needed to. And the other thing is, basically, since we've been aboard, we could have done that. Can we go back now and add the 50 every month because we did not use it, or is it, since we're knowledgeable now, do we go forward? And so it's like a stipend, but you add travel and some other things also. So is that what I'm hearing?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
You're correct.
Okay.
We did discuss very briefly, the fact that this has not been implemented and carried out since the beginning, I'm very comfortable with going back to the beginning of this current state fiscal year. If you were interested and wanted to go back further, of course that would include some, yeah, I was going to say that's going to include some approval and involvement of DPI.
Go there.
Thank you.
The other thing I wanted to say is thank you so much for something sharing out what folks, she was having to drive 12 hours to come to these meetings, and now she can fly and get reimbursed for those tickets.
It's fine. I'm here often, so it's fine, but sometimes I do fly, and sometimes, I can take the opportunity to see my child, but it's fine.
Well, Jerry, I can't take credit for that, but
You've helped a great deal, and she has made a commitment to be here every time she can, and now it's so much easier for her to fly rather than to drive.
Yes. And flying is not bad. It's good pricing right now. Oh, no. Not that one. No, not from New York City, no.
Welcome. We're so excited to have you.
We're very fortunate to have Susan on board. She's been very helpful since her
so
arrival.
we just want to keep her here, happy. Yes, happy.
We're fine.
And we work well together.
Yes, we do.
And I thank you for that update, because we had not heard that before. Thank you.
You're very welcome, and like I said, if you, those of you who are welcome email communication, I can send through email if you write or have paper. The paper form, I have some blank paper forms today, but I think, Dave, you may not have received it yet, but we have, your check has been issued for some travel to Raleigh, just last week. So we can get it set up and make this happen on a regular recurring basis for each of you, and we're happy to help.
Appreciate it. Glad to hear.
So is our next step today to get some information, or is it like, and maybe I just wasn't listening, but like, what is our next step?
If you have time today and want to sign the form, that will be the start. Now, Dave, you're already set up with that substitute W-9, so you'll just sign this form. Everybody else will need to complete the substitute W-9 form, which I forgot to bring over, but I can get those and pass those out, or I can email them to you, whichever. If you have 5 minutes or 2 minutes and want to just see me, I'll be here. We can sign this form and make sure we get you set up for the reimbursement, okay?
Yeah, if you don't mind, Ken, I'm Brian Shelton, board attorney, and delighted to have you here.
Okay.
And this is excellent, Mr. Boyette, this is an outstanding thing. We just have a much better feel for where we are. Two questions I had. First is just going to be generally, what type of flexibility is there to allocate expenses or reallocate expenses?
Okay. So there's significant flexibility in the categories other than the personal services. Okay. So the top line where you see personal services, and I just kind of indicated that that's salary and fringe account. There's very little flexibility there. Okay. The only flexibility in that category is if we have salary monies that are not spent when a position is vacant. Okay, that is called lapsed salary, and we can utilize those dollars for one-time non-recurring expenditures if we have a need. A good example is if we have to hire a temporary employee to fill in when a position is vacant, then there's flexibility to use the dollars appropriated for that salary for that temporary employee. Okay, that is an example. In the other categories, the purchase services, supplies, property, plant, equipment, and other expenses, those monies there is flexibility to move those monies among those expenditure categories if that answers your question.
Well, yeah, and I don't need to know the details,
Okay.
but I just know that it jumped out of me that the personal services,
Yes.
there's a big unencumbered aspect.
So
But
we
the other
are,
part, we're over encumbered.
so we are utilizing those available lapsed salaries dollars, that funding in personal services. We are utilizing that this current state year to cover expenditures for projects such as new carpet or paint or improvements that are needed. So we are working to utilize all of the funding. Yes, sir.
Great, and you think you did.
Yes, sir.
The second question was, but you've got a lot of experience, which is great, but are you working with DCI now, or are you transitioning to work with DOA? How's that going? If you don't want to just talk about it too much in public, that's fine too.
Well, I am working some with DPI. Fortunately, I have some knowledge and experience from way back. Okay. And I do have 30 years with state government finance, so that is what's helping carry us the most. The transition to DOA, we will eventually get there.
Well played.
That's good, yeah.
But it is.
I think there's a lot of unknown.
Yeah, the transition.
We
have known and unknown.
Right. We are having about bi-weekly. We have meetings with the state agencies, DPI, DOA, OSC, a whole bunch of various agencies, and Susan, Simone, our HR director, and myself were attending all those meetings. And then the HR department will break off with the DOA. Sometimes the DPI is involved in those smaller meetings that are more content-based for HR or for the business office. So we're having a lot of meetings right now to make that transition happen and be ready for it on July 1. We actually have a meeting today at 11 to one of the bigger agency meetings today.
Yeah, that's great. That's all I can hear about those meetings. You know, if during that process you identify anything that needs a legislative fix, be sure to raise it there and hopefully it's not, if all goes, it's a matter of working with the people and following the places. But if there's a roadblock that's legislative, you can't do this. You have to do that.
And there is a memorandum of agreement to be drafted between DOA and the school.
Yes.
Each school. So
The DOA attorney is supposed to do the first draft. And so as soon as we get that, then we will consult it through.
Yeah, hopefully it can all be handled through an MOA rather than legislation. Well, thank you very much. Great to have you.
Thank you.
I have something to say. I would just like to comment. I noticed you know sign, Susan.
Kevin. Was that Kevin?
No, that was you.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought it was Kevin.
I saw you looking over there. I just surprised that you know sign. That's good.
I remember a little bit from way back.
That's nice. And Kevin's in the back of his hand raised. This is Kevin. I would like to let you guys know that we are lucky to have this lady. I worked with her with VR a long time ago, and she was running, she had a huge budget. I had over 1,000 people working under her, so she brings a lot of experience. It's good to see her here, and she's back home because she was here a long time before. She's back home again, so it's good to see her here. It's good to have her.
Thank you, Ted. Thank you.
And thank you.
So moving on to our improvements and repairs. In your folder, you'll see the updates for buildings and grounds. And these are just improvements that we've been working on. This is definitely not a conclusive list, but it just highlights some of the activities. In addition to this, we had just approved a water study. We're having quite a few weeks on campus that are starting out. You'll probably see some STEAM sections periodically. We had one over here between Woodard and ILC a couple months ago, and right now we have one between here and Eagles. So we are going to conduct a full study of the campus. John Long is coordinating that with Alan, and so we just complete the paperwork for that this week, and are looking forward to the results of that so that we know exactly what's happening underground and what we may or may need to replace or repair. And Susan talked about the last salary and using that for some of the projects that we wanted to do on campus. Unfortunately, we were disappointed in that we weren't able to make immediate repairs for our McAdams dormitory showers because the money that's going to be involved, that's going to have to be a capital project, and unfortunately it does not qualify for an emergency problem for us to be able to fix right away. So we're going to hopefully prioritize that with the board approval and get that started for next fiscal year. And they said the earliest that could start would be this time next year. And so what we are looking at is, because the showers are in such bad shape, we're looking to use IOC for dormitory space, and it's pretty much turnkey ready. There is one wall that we need to paint into the building, but everything else is ready. There's like a suite involving 2 bedrooms, and there is a electric stove, so that has a special plug, and so we're going to remove the plug so that students wouldn't be able to use the stove top, but it'll give the students a lot better living quarters until we can finish the McAdams dorm. That's the plan for next year. And so we're hoping that we'll grow our residential program and increase our students where we'll be able to use and reopen McAdams the following year in newer conditions.
And the reason to not look forward with the McAdams showers on this, but over
the allotted amount that we're able to spend in-house. It has to be considered a capital project.
what is that now?
I
Couple $100,000.
think it's 130,000, but it depends on the circumstances and
That's all.
yeah.
That's all.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
And then so we have a new hire, and his name is Alan Burt. We are going through the background check right now, and we'll hopefully have him on board here within the next couple of weeks. He is filling our next 3 position that we have, and that will actually fill our maintenance staff completely. So they will be completely staffed in maintenance. And then we're looking to, we're throwing out some dates right now and looking to do a job fair for some of our positions. We have a bus driver, we have a couple EDA positions, a couple teacher positions, and so we're looking to possibly do a job fair here for introduction with one community college that lives in the local area. We also have great news. John Long has been instrumental in helping us look for a CPC We have 2 firms that are interested in serving all 3 of the Dutch schools. And so next Thursday, we are going to Raleigh, and the other 3 schools will be there as well, with some of our attorneys and John Long, and we'll be looking at those applicants.
What is a CPC?
So that is the role that John Long is fulfilling right now in terms of state contract.
What's the title?
Capital Project Coordinator. That's okay, no. I had to think about it for a second. Okay. We've already talked about our DOA transition. We've actually received our own employment identification number. We've applied for our tax exempt number, and we're establishing that EMCFD account with Truist to be able to get some funds and use our funds, local funds. And cash, petty cash checks, and so forth. We ran into a complication with cashing a petty cash and check from UPI because it said petty cash. So we weren't able to get it on Wells Fargo, even though we have an account, because it's under DPI, it's not under the school directly. And so then I took it to the state credit union thinking, okay, I have an account there, and the state credit union, we'd be able to get it done. We weren't able to do it there because the week prior, they had stopped accepting petty cash checks. So it took us a little while, but we have a process in place now, and Truist Bank is cashing them for us. Everything has been a process. And I know last meeting, I basically indicated that a lot of the reclassifications of jobs and restructuring some of those responsibilities was on hold because we were running into some things with DPI. That has got started as of last week, and we are moving that process along. So Simone has been hard at work making sure that our positions are what they need to be in order to receive the information that we're required to have to make the school run smoothly. So I have some great news for enrollment. Our applications, right now we have 5 new applicants that we are in the process of reviewing. We have 1 new enrollment with a start date right after spring break. So we're excited to have a second grade, well, he's in first grade this year. So he'll be joining us right after spring break. We have 1 applicant that is in the process of, we're having an admissions hearing scheduled, so we'll see if that student is eligible or not during that time. But we're excited. There's definitely a lot of interest, a lot of calls. A lot of people are indicating for next fall. So this is that tough time, but we're, the recruitment efforts have definitely increased. We have a table set up at our ASL classes every time we have one. We have our LEA conference on the 28th. We have 16 participants, and again, that's 16, actually 15 because 2 were from the same district. So we had 15 districts represented, and it went really well. We provided some PD, provided lunch, really talked about, our message was about partnering with them to meet the needs of EHH students. It was very well received. There was a lot of questions. We presented on the eligibility criteria in HB 11 and what that meant for them and us. And so it was really exciting. I would say about half of the group stayed and did the tour with us around campus and had nothing but positive feedback. So it was a great opportunity to put EMCFD out there. And then, let's see. So moving forward, we are looking to have an application week where it just encourages parents to bring their applications and opportunity to, tour the campus and have like a Q&A opportunity for them. So that we're in the process of scheduling that and hope to have that soon. The month of May would be ideal, but the month of May is extremely busy with testing and end of the year activities. So we may have, and then the 60th anniversary celebrations at the end. So we're at the end of the month, so we're really gearing up for that. So unfortunately, we may have to wait until like June to have that, but that is something we definitely want. We have 36 students registered for our Operation Accelerate, which is our 2-week summer program. And those 36 students are all from various counties and would be new to EMCSD. So we're hoping that their participation in the summer program will result in some additional applicants for the school year as well. We're looking to redo our brochure and our admissions packet. We had an event that we wanted to be able to get a admissions brochure out real quick. So we used refreshed an older one and as quickly as we possibly could. So we want to really spend some time working on that. I know that there was an admissions packet that was created last year, but we want to revise that and really market the school more. It was a lot about like the history of the school, but not really why you should send your child here. So we want to add that language in there and just let people know what EMCSD is all about and the privileges that the students have when they're here and being engrossed in sign language and just why they should come to us.
Excellent.
Okay. And then we're looking, unfortunately we missed the Deaf Expo this year, but we're looking to participate in the Deaf Expo next year and have a table there. So hopefully just again getting EMCSD out there and information about the program.
So where is the Deaf Expo?
It's in Charlotte, I believe.
Greensboro.
Greensboro. I'm sorry, Greensboro. I know it was out that way.
Yeah.
And then we're looking to, once we get our brochures and our packets, really working with the local audiologists that serve the 52 counties that we serve and getting information to them so that they can make it available to their clients as they come in as well. So that's kind of our plan moving forward and some different events that we want to create and build.
I was just going to say this is excellent. Not only the computer celebration, but also the things we do on trying to progress the tool itself in terms of having deaf students like this. So really appreciate that.
Thank you.
Really.
And as part of that, just building relationships with stakeholders, we have developed an MOU for the Wilson Police Department and the Wilson Fire Department to use Eagles and our track and field for training. They have used Eagles in the past, so the track and the field would be an addition to that for the next coming year. We've also established an MOU with Sally B. Howard to use our track and field for next school year, as well as the two schools are working together to become our reunification spot if we would have to evacuate our campus or they would have to evacuate theirs. So they just sent me an email yesterday wanting to invite me to their campus so we could kind of see where the spot would be for us to go there in case of an emergency. So we're going to be scheduling that either tomorrow or the week after our spring vacation.
And we would have to approve that as a board.
The MOU?
Like MOU means memorandum of understanding.
Mm-hmm.
So is that like a formal agreement, or is that just
I don't believe the board would have to approve that, but we've had some established in the past, and so this one's a new one. But the one with the Wilson PD and, Wilson Fire is just adding a track and field. They've always used the Eagles building for some of the, what is it?
I don't think you really have to prove it, but you need to acknowledge that to make sure we have the right process to say that like that. I guess I'd have to, if you could shoot it to me, would have to see, and does that actually involve, does it authorize the use set dates, or how does that work? So I think there was an approval process for that. I just have to go back and look at our policy on facility use.
Yeah, I thought the facility use was under the executive director.
And maybe, I just don't have it.
Could be mistaken on that, but.
Yeah. I know that if you rejected it, they could appeal to the board. I can't remember whether you accepted whether it's fine. If you could shoot that to me,
It's like Tim said, after 12 years on the board with the county school board, we never approved or rejected facility use agreement. We were told about it, but it was up to the executive director, who was the superintendent, to make his decision.
And assuming that's the way it is, that at your level, maybe you could approach the people and get informed. You know, that when you have one, inform the board, and the board is aware of what is out there, and you can, then if the board is concerned, well, it's progress. Yeah,
Yeah, we did have a discussion about the Sally D. Alves situation earlier, and the biggest concern was the use of the rear gate, back gate, and a couple of other particular areas. And some of us expressed our great concern about the use of that gate. And we have a front gate now, and it would be, from a safety standpoint, security standpoint, best to use the front gate for those purposes. And that was what our discussion was a lot about. Whether or not it was a security risk to access that back gate.
So what we were thinking, was, they wouldn't have any cars come on campus. They would have to park everything on their campus, and they would have people stationed at the gate. And you couldn't come in without purchasing a ticket. So then that's the only gate that would be open, and it would be manned. And then they would go straight from there to the field. So then there's no one going through with the campus itself, with the exception of a direct route from that gate to the field. The agreement is for them to keep everyone down on the lower campus and not come up by where the buses are parked and where the buildings are. That was kind of what we were looking at.
So would they practice on that field as well?
Yes. Actually, no, they wouldn't practice. They would just use it for 3 games. They would be practicing with our track team, but our track team would be here as well. And that's some joint practice.
I appreciate the progress that you have made to kind of connect with the southern part of the community, that listen to and listen to.
And in the MOU, they've agreed to treat the field for weeds and upkeep of the field as well while we're using.
So they would maintain the field.
Right now, the field is in bad shape. It was a prescription turf. It was a safety turf that was sprayed in. In originality, we never had a weed there. They sprayed it. We've not had the use of the field. We've not needed the use of the field. Now it is covered with weeds. They're going to reach out, and it's already been agreed on that Dale Edmonds, who was over the golf courses and now the recreation department facilities, he's going to come out, he's going to treat the field to get rid of everything that's not grass, make the field safe, beautiful, at no cost to us at all.
Upcoming events, just um, invite you to any of them. We would love to have you on campus. We have our prom April 30th, so the parents are invited to come and help their child get ready, take pictures before prom, and then as well all these and our students and staff will be enjoying the evening for the prom. It is on a Wednesday evening on April 30th. Unfortunately, because our students got home on a Thursday or a Friday for travel day, we don't have our prom on the weekend, but we started at 6 o'clock, and then we wrap things up so that they can go to bed and have the next day be a school day.
What is your theme this year?
Infinite Forest.
Okay.
And our art teacher has, in one of our EBAs, they have worked together and they have created an unbelievable backdrop for the prom. The decorations are magnificent. So if you get a chance, definitely stop by and see the students all dressed up and enjoying the night. It will be in the auditorium and across from the gym, the main gym. We have a throwback spirit week, and this is the week of May 5th through the 9th, in honor of our 60th anniversary celebration. Our athletic director has dug into some old uniforms and getting those out so that the students who want to wear some of the throwback uniforms during that week, that they can do that. We have our senior trip to Wilmington on May 7th and 9th. And so they'll go down there and do some fun things, but they'll also do some historical educational activities as well. And then we have our student 60th anniversary celebration field day combination on May 27th. And our senior award is held on May 27th. And then our graduation, as you know, is May 28th, and end of the year awards for underclassmen in elementary and middle school is May 29th. And then we have our 60th celebration on May 31st from 11 to 7 that day. And we have a lot of activities planned. So please, if you can, come out and enjoy the day with us and celebrate ENCSD.
I noticed on Facebook that you had the first ever cheerleading camp between the two schools where they actually got training on how to be a better cheerleader.
Yes.
Can you elaborate on that too?
Yes, so MCSD and EMCSD, we had about 16 students here last weekend. MCSD arrived Friday evening, and we had staff that volunteered to stay the weekend with them. The coaches from here and there worked with the group. We actually had some male students participate as well. And they learned some cheers and learned some lifts, and so they had a great time. They cooked. It was fun. They actually Friday evening they were making, our students and staff were making dinner for CSD when they arrived on campus. So it was a full event. They made Belgian waffles Saturday morning.
I was I know you did.
Speaking of which, I need to get my maker. But, and if you want to participate in the Color Fun Run, we have white t-shirts that say ENCSD, and so you can get some colors thrown at you if you want to do the run or walk at 5 o'clock on that May 31st. And so that's the end of my director's report.
That was a very complete report. It's good to hear all the things that the school is doing. I just hope we can have it advertised, if you will, through the local media, there. I know most of it's going to be on Facebook. But I even think to have like little video meeting here there's something in the story.
Right.
That'd be good for the newspaper. Not everybody looks at the newspaper, but it's still for local farm.
We are also, we're purchasing, 20 signs of the, you know how they have the election signs with the things, so we've got 25 of them that we're gonna put around. And then we also have invites that will be going out, to a lot of our representatives and local, officers and, politicians and, just our alumni, all should be receiving one. So we had a save the date announcements and stuff, but we'll have a formal invite as well.
I'm just saying, we receive more information today than we received in the last year. I'm saying that confidently. Thank you. Anything else?
Just the new business items.
I have one. This is Kevin. I need to sign in. Who wants it? Okay, you can answer for me? Okay. All right, thank you for, I just wanted to say a few words.
3 minutes, 1 minute,
Oh, maybe. Look, sign language takes longer. Okay. I have 3 things I would like to address. First, some tips for Ms. Iannucci. The CARE project. The CARE project is run by a man named Johnny Sexton. He is an audiologist. He has a good group here in the state of North Carolina. A lot of educational interpreters, no, a lot of educational audiologists in the area of North Carolina. In southeastern North Carolina too. He has a very strong program. I encourage you to reach out with him and collaborate with him. He has some previous experience that we could revisit, maybe chat with him again. That's one tidbit. The second thing is on May 31st, I encourage you to open up Eagles Hall. The alumni want to see Eagles Hall. We used the school there. We were in the dorm there, and there are different things. But open up part of it, a small part of it, that might satisfy a few people's wishes. The third thing is at Gallaudet University in Washington, D.C., they required all of their students to be able to swim due to many deaf people drowning. So I encourage you to think about bringing back the swimming pool. It's needed. So I encourage you to think about bringing back the swimming pool and the swim bit. Thanks.
That's the only input we had on the finance. We're going to new business.
The new business, I just wanted to bring up our Internet Safety and Ethical Use Policy, 9-095, and this policy was pretty much in effect. The only thing that really changed was the deep fakes, and this policy is really driven by North Carolina state law and DPI requirements. And the addition of deep fakes is I don't know if you're familiar with what a deep fake is, but it's when you take somebody's body and put someone else's head in it. So, like for instance, if you're sending, something with someone's stealing something or a nude picture or something, and you put someone else's head on it and then send it out, that's considered a deep fake. And so we were required to add that to this policy. Okay. And then the leave policy that we looked at a while back, or the last time, we had, because we have 115C employees and 126 employees, and they do not have the same type of leave time. For instance, the 115Cs and 115s have 2 personal days a year, and the 126 has 1 personal day a year. So we had to put the different categories in there in regards to what the leave policy meant for those individuals. And everything else was pretty much the same, with the exception of we added the voluntary shared leave, where if someone became ill and had to be out for a while, the state allows employees to donate leave time. So we added that into the policy. Any questions on either of those? And that concludes my new business.
Excuse me, just for clarification, are these policies proposed for a first reading, approval next month, final approval next month, or are they proposed as a final? Our normal approach would be to have the first reading, look at it for 1 month, and then have the second reading the next month. And that gives opportunity for input and revision. Although if there is an immediate need, we can waive first reading and go to the second reading through final. Uh, uh, but I didn't know if there was a need to approve these final, or whether we just do it on the first reading and have final approval next month.
I believe the leave policy we had talked about, and you all approved it. We talked about it the month before, and we approved it last month, but then we realized the discrepancy between the 115 and the
So
126.
we would consider this a second reading because it's already come before the board.
Yes.
Does this address the issue that we talked about with the
3-day rule?
the 3-day rule?
Yes.
So eliminates that.
Yes.
Being a policy, is that something if we had decided that this is the second read or first read that had an addendum, do we need to have a motion, and are we going to vote, I think we're going to vote as a board to accept all policies? I'm asking you.
That's what I was kind of getting to, that we want the board to approve these, and then the question is, are we approving them on first read or second read? I think, has internet safety and ethical use policies been brought to us before?
I believe it was in that batch of policies that were used before, and this was just literally updated with that one addition, or those 2 additions.
Okay. It has a different numbering system here than we had approved before. So what we approved before was based on the School Board Association policy. We called the 1000 series, the 2000 series, the 3000 series.
So there were ESPE policy numbers,
Yes.
and then there were your DPI and state policies and board policies. So there were 2 separate levels of policy.
Right. I think what we want to do is transition where we have one number system, and then if we bring something over from the old UPI policy, we could align them with our school board association policy. So, yeah, I guess what I would suggest is, and I'll have to open to any other opinions, but I think if we approve these on first read today, and then next month we can do final, and we have the policy numbers on there, so we know how they fit in instead of all that we have. Does that make sense?
Yes, that's right.
So we approve these first read, we have a board vote, through first read, bring it back next month for final approval, second read. And it also gives the board members a chance to look at this if they have any questions or comments. That's absolutely. So yeah, it's it builds in a review process. So let's approve these on first read, get the board so wants. And then the second read, we can correlate the numbers. So we might end up, this internet safety, that's the use policy. Do we have another policy we've already approved dealing with internet safety? What's that number? How does this interact with that policy? So if we do first read this month, and the second read, we can clear all that up and align. Is that okay?
Yeah, I think that's the motion. But just want to be sure that having this as a person doesn't cause any complications from their standpoint.
Just the policy, the lead policy, because without this being in place, we're still under the 3-day policy.
That's right.
Right. In order to solve that problem, I believe it would be given to us to pull out and officially eliminate the 3-day policy. And then we can approve this one first reading and move forward.
Is that 3-day policy? And we haven't talked to the policy and process much. One way that's useful to do it is if we have a change, we have the old policy and then have the revisions shown. So we know what's being deleted and what's being added.
That whole policy was pretty much focused on the 3-day rule. So it's almost completely separate.
So what we could do is just eliminate that.
Exactly. Mr. Chairman, we talked about this 2 readings ago.
Right.
And then I forwarded information
Yes.
to y'all regarding the 3 days and how we eliminated it at community college at 7 cents. So I might just suggest we go to eliminate that policy today, and then we move forward with it.
On first read. Yeah, we can do that.
Yeah, okay. Do we need a motion on that? I still make a motion, Jack.
To eliminate the 3-day policy as described to us by the sign leadership, and it would no longer be in effect at
Okay. Is there any comments or questions there? No. No complication yet? Okay. All in favor, say aye or right. So eliminating the 3-day policy. So this becomes the default policy. And
Well, if we, I think what we could do is move to approve it on first reading, but have it in effect pending second reading. So we're not left with nothing.
Right.
And you can operate on it. Then we can change it next month if we have any issues.
so we need a motion on that as well?
Yeah.
Okay.
Chairman, move to approve in first reading the Internet Safety and Ethical Use of the NCS three policy. It will be effective the day of pending second reading on May 28th.
That's been moved to second, any further comments? All in favor? Any opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Another question on the policies. The board has approved some policies, and we're kind of in this transition. We have the old policies and we have the new ones. Does our website have access to policies so people can see what policies have been approved by the board? Or if not, can we find a way to do that? A policy manual?
Some of the policies, I'm going to be honest, some of the policies do need revised. A perfect example of one of the policies that we have in place has to deal with abuse of children. And for instance, one of the, it goes through, reporting it to DSS if it's involving, a parent or a caregiver. But then whenever it relates to a staff member, it indicates that an MIT team would review it. And because of, all the rights for employees, that should just be the superintendent and HR that review that, as opposed to a social worker and a school nurse. And so it just didn't, it seems like there's some policies that need revised.
Is that under the old system, or is that under the new one approved by the board a year ago?
I believe that was in the packet that was approved.
Well, I would suggest that every policy that the board has approved, we should make it available to the public. But to the extent there are changes, bring them up and let's make some revisions. But I think we should be access to policy. Not necessarily all the big policy manuals that was the EPI manual, but the ones that actually the board has approved. I think we should just access.
So I know Dave Anderson, he's our communication and graphic designer on campus. He had just created the new website, and we've asked him to build a board trustees and include all of that. So he's in the process of building that, where all the links would be in there.
That would be perfect. That's what we normally see. Is if you can go to the board of trustees, here are the board members, here's the board meeting dates, here's the board policy manual.
Previous meetings,
work toward that.
Recorded, yes, all of that.
Yeah, minutes.
Yeah.
The meetings as well. I know that the videos should have a link as well. The video links.
Yes. So this is actually the first meeting that's being recorded. Last meeting we didn't have the technology to set that up, so we will definitely.
Okay. You just haven't built in a place for board policies, and then we will add to that as the board approves. So, for example, next month I would think we could use, after approval on second reading, add to that.
We talked about rehires and so just managers and things.
Yeah.
So you're that. We're going to move on to other new business that we added.
Excuse me. Adding to the 60th anniversary, Kevin just brought up about Eagles Hall. I'm just curious, would that be possible?
We will have to look at that from a safety perspective. I'll go in and
Partial.
yeah, see if there's a partial area. I know the building hasn't had a lot of air moving in it, so it's very stale. I went in last week and I didn't find anything out. But
We have a lot of things stored in there.
We do, that is where our surplus,
Right.
is kept, and then as well as some maintenance materials.
But I guess what Terry was asking for was just
An
enforce
area,
it, giving
yeah.
the idea of one room or something.
Yeah, so we'll go in there and see if there's an area that can be accessed easily and without.
About the air.
Keep the doors open. We are looking to, do a little bit of, the building is starting to deteriorate, one because of the air from the inside, but also from the outside. So we're looking to just kind of clean up the outside of the building, and paint the eaves, to try to keep that building from deteriorating more, until we figure out what we want to do with the entire building, but keep it at least in a state where, it can be used again.
That's your question. We move on to, we added, three things, two things that Gary wants to do.
Yeah, real quick, first of all, for the people on Facebook that are looking in, I know how face masks, and I know what COVID did when we had to wear face masks. It's very, very difficult for the deaf. There's so many ways they can read you, and of course there's ASL, there's throat sign language, there's pigeon sign language, there's body language, there's speech, and there's also lip reading. And I want to apologize to everybody. I've had oral surgery yesterday, and I've had 5 teeth cut out. And so I'm not wearing this for anybody's benefit other than y'all. Oh, God, it's awful. I ain't got any teeth. So I apologize, and I'll try to do better next time. This is not closed session material. This is replacement of Melissa, and we didn't know exactly how to do that because we had not had a resignation, and she was pretty much, she had to because of Bill 382. No one can work here at the school and be on the board. So I went to Hugh Blackwell, and I asked Hugh Blackwell through his assistant Maria, because I know he's busy, please tell us what to do. The first question was it political? Was it appointed by the House or appointed by the Senate? No. Was individuals appointed by DPI? No. Then who? It was the Alumni Association. Very easy. The only one that's easy. Asked her to give a letter of resignation, which I went to Cheryl, and Cheryl went to her, and we put it in the form of a resignation letter due to Bill 382. Second thing, she goes to her organization and she finds a replacement that is worthy. She did that, and the replacement happens to be here with us today. We won't ask him to speak or anything, but it's Kevin Earp, right back here. And so the next thing is to officially notify him. I assume that would be in a letter, or you could be, Brian, I don't know if this could be an official request, but then he would have to come back after an official notification that he is on the board, and he would have to take the oath. And he said, other than that, it's a done deal. All right. Now, the other thing was, and I don't know the individual. His name is Rosenthal, and he is the director of the Council on Justice and Hard Hearing out of Durham. And he sent an invitation to our chairman and to the chairman in Morganton to come and present for an hour about the school. That sounds innocuous and no problem. But then Sandy, well, first I went to Ken, and Ken had a conflict, and so I said I'd be happy to go up there and know most of those people anyway. And I saw Sandy, and Sandy and you going because they said that we could make a presentation together, or we would be allotted 1 hour each. And Sandy said, well, let me find out exactly what he wants, because we've never been asked to do this before. Sandy did. He came back and said he wanted to know about the directors and why they were removed, and I thought it was a pity expedition. I really did. So anyway, Sandy decided they're in really good shape. They've got a new director. Everything is going as smooth as it can be. And he just did not want, or she did not want us to be in competition or be up there together and comparing. And it's really not their business about our director. We can't speak about, especially us, we can't speak about anything. So she made the recommendation that she write a letter back to Rosenthal and say, we're in a transition process right now. I'm sorry we can't go this quarter, but we'll be happy to make a presentation together at the next meeting. So she did write that letter. We have had a reply from Rosenthal, David, and it says basically, oh, well, we're disappointed, but yes, we look forward to seeing you at the next quarter. The other one was, in talking to Hugh Blackwell, if you look at Bill 382, right at the end, it talks about the North Carolina Collaboratory. First time I ever heard of that, and I said, I got to get to Rob. He knows about all these things. I said, Rob will probably know about this. But it says that the North Carolina Collaboratory was going to visit the schools in a timely manner to see how they can help. Well, Hugh wanted to know what help meant. So he took a contingency down to Raleigh, and they went to the office of the North Carolina Collaboratory. And he took Sandy, he took the new superintendent, and himself. You'd like to know. What's this about? Basically, are you snooping on us? Is this from DT? Why are we doing this? And then they were referred to Jenny Corn. And they went and spoke to Jenny Corn. Said, no. My expertise is helping out, doing research. Now, what kind of research what kind of research situations do you need me to work on to make your school better? Well, that relieves a lot of fear. And so right there on the spot, they said, what we would like for you to do is to study why schools for the deaf need to have children as early as we possibly can get them. As early. Now, this crowd, the North Carolina Collaboratory, has money. And they are willing to do the research, and then to back it up with research and data, and then to provide money to make that research a positive experience. So when they called me and asked me, I said, I'll bring it up to the board before. It sounds like a great research, because it's going to help us two ways. It's going to give us more kids, it's going to give us money, and everybody knows the earlier you can get to a child language-wise, the better off you are. Back when I was here, we had preschool 1, preschool 2, preschool 3, then first grade. And that really helped the kids catch up to their hearing peers. So basically, I told all this to Ken, I told all this to Mr. Inucci, and so I would hope that y'all would get a chance just to look up, just Google NC Collaboratory, and go through the different individuals that go down to Jenny Cohen, and that tells her expertise. So when they do call, I don't know if they have not, because I discussed this a couple of weeks with you, you will be knowledge. They're not here but for anything other than to help.
Thank you, Jeff. Any comments on Gary's information? And that concludes our regular normal session. We will now go on to closed session. Yes. Now we're going to go into closed session. So I need a motion to go out of
open session, closed session, what purpose of?
The, employee, personnel matters, and attorney-client privilege.
I'll make them, put them down. And move, the discussion by Gary. All in favor? Aye. Opposed, same sign. Thank you. So that means only the people should be left here, those on the board, related to the board. All others, leave. Thank you.